This is where the deep lore really shines. We are conditioned to think of Zeus as the omnipotent, untouchable king of Olympus. In Hesiod's Theogony, Zeus wins through sheer power. He scorches the earth, boils the seas, and casts the Titans into the abyss. He is the nuclear deterrent of the ancient world. But in the deeper cuts of mythology, in the works of Aeschylus, and the lost nuances of the oral, tradition brute force failed him completely. There was a power dynamic that terrified the king of gods. He could incinerate a 100-headed dragon, but he froze in the presence of 3 women spinning wool. Why? Because while Zeus could control the weather, the Moirai, the fates, controlled the script. And if Zeus couldn't beat them, he had to outmaneuver them. Today we are dissecting the most critical power struggle in Greek mythology. It isn't the war against the Titans, and it isn't the Gigantomachy. It's the Cold War between executive power represented by Zeus and cosmic necessity represented by the Fates. Most people assume Zeus is at the top of the pyramid, but if you look at the etymology and the texts from the Iliad to the Orphic hymns, you realize Zeus isn't the writer of the story, he's just the lead actor. We need to understand why the god who defeated his father Cronus and his grandfather Uranus was paralyzed by the fear that he would suffer the exact same fate. It required cunning, stealth, and theological theft to stay on the throne. To understand why Zeus feared the Fates, we first have to look at what Zeus was actually good at: violence. In the Titanomachy, the 10-year war between the Olympians and the Titans, the stalemate was broken by raw power. Zeus releases the Hecatontures, the 100-handers, and Urzand unleashes his lightning. Hesiod describes the heat as so intense that it melted the earth like tin. Zeus established his legitimacy through physical dominance. He defeated the physical threats. He locked the Titans in Tartarus. He crushed Typhon, the monster that even the other gods fled from. But here is the catch. Physical strength in Greek cosmology only works on physical beings. You can blast a Titan because a Titan has a body. You can chain Prometheus to a rock because he has limbs. But how do you fight a concept? The Titans represented the old order of the elements' time, ocean, memory. Now Zeus defeated them and imposed a new order of law and civilization. But the Fates, they predate the order Zeus created. They are the daughters of Nyx Night in some traditions, or an Ankh necessity. They are the operating system of the universe. Zeus realized very quickly that his lightning bolt was useless against an abstraction. You cannot electrocute a prophecy. This is where the fear sets in. Zeus realized that while he was the king, he was ruling over a kingdom bound by laws he didn't write. Let's look at who he was actually afraid of: the Moirai. Clotho spins the thread of life, Lachesis measures its length, and Atropos cuts it. The word Moira literally means a share or a portion. In the ancient Greek mind, when you were born, you were allotted a specific share of life happiness, sorrow, and length of days. Now here is the theological crisis. Does Zeus dispense the fates, or is he bound by them? In the Iliad, Homer presents a terrifying reality for Zeus. He holds the golden scales of destiny, but he doesn't decide which side tips. He just holds them. When the scale tips toward death for a hero, even Zeus has to obey. Imagine being the king of the universe, but 3 old women in a cave decide when your reign ends. In Aeschylus's Prometheus Bound, the Titan Prometheus explicitly says that Zeus is weak compared to the Fates. He says, "Necessity has 3 forms, and the Furies who remember, Zeus is not stronger than these." When asked if Zeus can escape his destiny, Prometheus laughs and says, "He cannot escape what is fated." This terrified Zeus. He saw what happened to his father, Cronus. Cronus was the king, yet fate decreed he would be overthrown by his son. Cronus tried to fight fate by eating his children's brute force. It failed. Zeus knew that if he relied solely on strength, the thread of his reign would eventually be cut, just like his father's was. If you want proof of this powerlessness, we have to look at Book 16 of the Iliad. This is the smoking gun. Zeus has a mortal son, Sarpedon. He loves him. But Sarpedon is fated to die by the hand of Patroclus. Zeus watches the battle unfold, and he hesitates. He actually considers diving down and saving his son, breaking the thread of fate. Enter Hera. She doesn't physically stop him. She can't. She uses logic. She tells him, "Do it." But know this, if you break the laws of fate to save your son, every other god will want to save their sons too. You will shatter the universe, Zeus. The god who shakes the earth when he nods, sits back down. He weeps tears of blood onto the battlefield, but he lets his son die. Why? Because he knew that his power rests on the stability of the cosmos. The Fates represent that stability. Zeus fights the Fates, he becomes an agent of chaos, no better than the Titans he defeated. He was trapped by his own position. To be the king of order, he had to submit to the order of the Fates. They couldn't fight Typhon, but they could dismantle Zeus's authority, simply by holding him to his own laws. So, how does a king defeat an enemy he cannot fight? In Hesiod's Theogony, Zeus wins, but in the deeper analysis, he cheats. There was a prophecy of fate that stated Zeus would marry Metis Wisdom, and she would bear a son stronger than Zeus who would overthrow him. This is the cycle of succession. Uranus falls to Cronus, Cronus falls to Zeus, Zeus must fall to his son. That is how the story goes. But Zeus refused to play his part. He didn't use lightning, he used cunning. He tricked Metis into turning into a fly, and he swallowed her. By swallowing wisdom, he did two things. 1. He prevented the birth of the son who would destroy him. 2. He internalized wisdom. He literally made the concept of planning a part of his own biology. Later, when the prophecy regarding the Nereid Thetis arose that her son would be greater than his father's, Zeus didn't sleep with her. He married her off to immortal Peleus, ensuring her son Achilles would be a mighty human, but not a god who could threaten Olympus. Zeus defeated the Fates not by overpowering them, but by finding loopholes in their contracts. He sidestepped destiny. He broke the cycle that destroyed his father by becoming something his father never was: paranoid and strategic. Zeus remains king not because he is the strongest, but because he is the only one who figured out how to rig the game. The Titans tried to break the chains. Zeus learned how to pick the lock. He respects the Fates because he knows they are the only thing holding the universe together. But he fears them because he knows they hold the scissors. If you want to change your own fate, or at least understand the lore behind it, you know what to do. Subscribe and hit the bell. It is, after all, inevitable. Zeus survived because he adapted. He realized that against the ultimate powers of the universe, you don't send an army. You pull off a heist. Perhaps a bit of thievery magic.